Okay, I'm about to head up to the garden center. I have a few hours before I have to pick up the girls from school. And since I'm still working my other job, I'm trying to get in some good quality time up at the garden center to get a better understanding of our products and our plants that we have up there. So when I am up there full time, I can just hit the ground running and, actually be a benefit to our staff, our horticulture specialists, and our whole process and procedures and everything going on up there. So our horticulture specialist, Jim, he just went on shift a few minutes ago. He's going to be there for a few more hours. So I want to catch him before he's off and before I have to get the girls from school. And I'm hoping I can trap him, get him on film, and get him to teach me a little bit about our soil products, our bulk products and our bagged soil products, because it's something I'm just not well versed in. Being new to this garden world, I'm not sure what products are best for what, for trees, for shrubs, for vegetables, for flowers, for different soil types, etc. And so I'm hoping Jim can give me a better understanding, not just, me reading what the bag says, but really understanding why and the purpose of each different bag and product. And I think that the questions that I have will probably be a lot of questions that new beginner gardeners have, and maybe even some well-versed gardeners who just want a little refresher from somebody who's been in the game for a really long time. So if you're interested, come with me. Let's see if we can get Jim to share some of his wealth of knowledge with us. Let's go.
What do we have here? What do we have here? You working hard?
Oh, my break.
See, this is why I need to be out here full time, because when I'm not here,
Taking a break.
people take naps on the job.
Okay, so I'm here with Jim. Jim is one of our horticulture specialists, and I'm not going to give away your age, but
Okay,
he's been,
I'm a youngster.
yeah, he's been doing this for like approximately 1 million years.
Yeah, it's
Something
close
along
to that,
that.
BC.
Yeah, so, yeah. There we go. So he is an expert on all things horticulture, and I've begged him to teach me a little bit about our soil products and the differences between them, because I am just not well versed on what each one's purpose is, and let's see what Jim can teach me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty.
All right, so let's start with the Miracle Grow. You hear a lot about Miracle Grow. People love it.
A lot of products.
A lot of products. Why? Why do people love Miracle
It's a
Grow so
brand
much?
name that people recognize for sure. And probably more local things would be like the Pete's brand. But Miracle Grow, from liquid feeds to potty mixes to garden soil mixes, what a lot of them have is a slow release fertilizer maybe added to the mix. So if it's a potting soil, like this would grow directly in containers with like mixed flowers and things like that, there's a fertilizer already blended in.
Okay.
So it says it will last up to about 6 months. You still made a supplemental feed on top of that, but that should give you off a pretty good start as far as fertilizer actually mixed in the soil versus top dressing. So some of these are designed for potty mixes, including some of the other brands. And some are more designed to add to your soil, like in your garden or even into the beds prior to planting a bunch of plants. So those kind of products probably have more, and do have more compost, whether it be cow manures or an oyster shell, mushroom kind of compost. They also have things like cottonseed meal in them, things like that are slow release organic forms. They break down slower, so they're less likely to burn, usually lower in those nutrient values.
Okay.
But the other benefit they have being organics is they have the humates that will hold nutrients in the soil, hold moisture in the soil, help keep soil cooler than say are just plain sands and things. But water retention would be the other thing that's going to add and build to the soil. So if we're trying to keep the organisms that live in the soil that help break down the soil and release those elements for plants, the organic forms, the additives, those manures are probably some of the best choices we can make.
Okay.
Some of the synthetic fertilizers, if not most of them, are salt derivatives, and they tend to drive away a lot of those organisms that would normally be the living fauna. So those are, they're quick reactions, they're quick action, they're quick fertilizers, so we use them, those kind of liquid feeds or synthetics. But as far as long-term and establishing kind of a good soil health, the manures are going to be way better.
Yeah.
That's my best recommendation. And there's a lot of good choices depending on what's in them and what you have. Some even have lime added, so the pH is adjusted for you, or helps add to that to your soil versus just adding lime. This is a sea and farm mix. I was reading about it because it's got a lot of different cool stuff in it. It also has sphagnum moss, so this is actually a potting media, which you could pot up plants in. It may be a little heavy for some plants as far as holding too much moisture, but it does have sand. It has a sandy loam in it. It has some sphagnum, aged pine bark that'll have bigger chunks, and that'll keep it more aerated. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so you see a lot of products with C in them. So what is it about the C materials that
those
help?
are usually seaweeds.
Uh-huh.
Could have, in some cases, fish emulsion, emulsified fish product, which is basically a byproduct of fish processing. But it also could be sea kelp, which is, high in a lot of nitrogen and iron. And so whether it be a liquid feed, because you can buy some of those liquid feeds that are sea kelp derivatives versus, they still have a seaweedy smell. They don't smell quite like the.
We can always tell when that's been used in the garden
all the manures
center.
are, and some fish emulsion can be a little strong for people, but those are again excellent organic sources of nutrients, fertilizer. So that's kind of what's in this particular bag or particular mix. So this one says cow manure. It's probably mainly cow manure. One of the other ones over here says mushroom compost. Is basically mushroom is that's what you grow mushrooms is a compost. So this is either a byproduct from that farming of mushrooms. And I know some of that soil is used to make other potted type media plants for just growing plants because it's high in nutrient. So basically that is another bagged product that's easy to handle. And a lot of this kind of stuff you can buy, not necessarily these brands, you could buy in bulk here at the garden center, like the soil conditioner or 50/50 compost. And if you're doing those big boxes, it may be more economical to buy a load or a scoop than to buy 7 or 8 or 10 bags of something.
Yeah, because
so whatever's working.
We can load that into your own truck or trailer, or we can deliver it. So that's an awesome service that we offer here.
Yeah, and I would say all these compost products that you're trying to mix into or put around plants, if you're individually planting a plant, you're going to dig the hole about twice the size of what the diameter is, so you're about 4 inches on either side. But you want to blend that compost material in with that backfill, what you took out of the hole, that's going to go back well. If you have big pockets of one or the other, that's not really ideal for the roots to grow into. You want it kind of blended well, and then that organic matter is going to hold more moisture, get that plant off to a better start. It doesn't last forever because it will eventually disintegrate and decomp. So, but it does help give a plant some nutrients, some organic matter, inviting those beneficials into that space, and usually breaking up the soil is great for the root system. So that's how I use most of the compost piles.
Well, another question for you. We're in Moore County.
Right.
Huge county. We've got very diverse soils.
Yeah.
Whether you're in the northern part of the county where you'll find just red clay.
Yes.
Versus, the sand hills, the sand. And, below our feet is actually a lot of clay. But then you kind of move a little bit down that way and you get
find pockets of sand.
Pockets of sand. So what would you recommend for the people who have that clay? What would be their best course of action if they're looking to, grow in the ground? Whether it's a tree or a shrub, or just your regular annuals. Of
the two soils, sand or clay, clay is probably a better soil to grow in, mainly because it holds moisture longer. It has better nutrient holding capacity because of the way the soil particles lay flat on each other and tighter together. On that same hand, because it is that tight, it tends to stay wet longer, which may actually waterlog some plants. So we have a difficulty with we dig a hole, plant it, we water it, and it's basically like a bucket of water. So what happens, it doesn't want to move out into that soil. So in a clay soil, you're really interested in trying to break up the soil to loosen it and to aerify the soil because you have the water capacity because the soil type. In sandy soil, it's the opposite. It's going to drain immediately through sandy soil. And our sandy topsoil is generally just a gray sand, a little bit of organic matter, not a whole lot. So when you're adding the organic matter, you're adding the water retention that you wouldn't have with just the sandy type soil that would leach everything, move away. So that organic stuff's going to hold nutrients in that soil where it can be attained by the roots, going to hold moisture at the same time. Those are the benefits. So Sandy soils, you need some amendments to hold moisture.
Okay.
In the clay soil, you need amendments to open up the soil. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting.
Pro Mix is a brand, and it's definitely a professional growing media. You see a lot of growers use this kind of media for greenhouse products, hanging baskets, 6-inch pots. I like it for doing mixed pots in landscapes. We're doing large pots. It's going to stay aerated. It's got plenty of peat. It's got perlite. Also has a mycorrhizae in it, which is good for a relationship for the plant's roots and the nutrients that it can take up through that beneficial relationship. Anyway, so this is a professional mix. By far, this is the one I would use the most in that kind of thing. Growing plants in flats, growing plants in pots, or even big containers. But I wouldn't use this in the soil. I wouldn't use this in my vegetable garden to till in. It's not necessary. I don't really need this kind of product where I could have something that has more compost in it, because this has
much
no
more
compost
economical too.
Yeah, so
this is your cream of the crop.
Yeah, and this is
professional grade,
and it's all inert ingredients. There's no soil in this.
Okay.
So some of those actually have soil in there,
right?
Sand and that kind of stuff. So this is an artificial mix for sure, what's called a media in growing, and but it's sterile. There's nothing, pathogens aren't in here, so that's beneficial for a grower. You don't want to use something that has a potential disease problem. So this we know is clean.
Well, Jim, this has been extremely helpful to me, as I'm going to be out here more often, and I need to know these things, because I don't want to just be like telling people, go read the bag and see what you think. Like, I want to have the background knowledge to be able to talk through, products with our customers and make sure they're getting the quality product.
And make a good choice.
And making a good choice for what their goals are. So I really appreciate you.
Sure. Glad to. Yeah. Anytime.